I've always had a soft spot in my heart for independent car makers, the little guys sticking it out round after round against the monsters of the motor industry, and Subaru is one of my favorites. They've been fighting hard too. For as far back as I care to remember, month after month they're beating their own sales records, and this is a big part of that reason. Hi, I'm Mike Perkins from CarGurus, and this is the 2020 Subaru Outback. Beginning back in 1994 as a more rugged trim of the legacy wagon, the Outback has been through 5 generations in the last 25 years to arrive here as a 2020 model for its 6th generation debut. It offers an alluring alternative to the seemingly never-ending wave of carbon copy crossovers with some unique features that let it stand out from the crowd. And depending on how you outfit it, you can have it as an affordable, off-road capable family funster or a near luxury distance cruiser that also happens to handle itself really well off-road. Now, from the outside, you'd be forgiven for not realizing that this is a full redesign, but on the inside, the difference is immediately obvious. For 2020, Subaru's best-selling vehicle gets this giant 11.6-inch tablet-style touchscreen for the Starlink Infotainment system. A lot of manufacturers have been going with this setup of late, and the reasons are obvious. It's big, it's easy to see, it's easy to use, it's the perfect utilization for the available space. Unfortunately here, there are some drawbacks.
Gorgeous as it is, this screen is super laggy, and not just with the map. A lot of systems have trouble with map lag, not that any of them have any excuse for that, it's 2019 after all, but this system can lag in nearly any menu or function. Page changes, station changes on the radio. I've even had the volume lag when changing it for a second or so, meaning you try to turn the volume up and nothing seems to happen, so you turn it more and then it's way too loud once it catches up, so you go back the other way, but turning the volume down lags as well, and then you end up yo-yoing back and forth, and again, it's 2019.
Now there's another big tech upgrade this year, and unfortunately it's also a bit of a disappointment. Last year, Subaru made their EyeSight safety suite standard across the lineup, and this year, Driver Focus joins the party. This uses an infrared monitor to make sure that you don't get drowsy or tired while you're driving, and then it'll tell you to perk up here. And that sounds cool, but unfortunately, it just doesn't work very well. It's just constantly yelling at me and telling me to keep my eyes on the road, even when I'm staring straight ahead. And I would just like to acknowledge the irony of a car yelling at you and having you take your eyes off the road in order to read a message that tells you to keep your eyes on the road. Now for a bit of good news. The old 3.6-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 engine that served as the up-level engine option for the top 3 trims here has been replaced by a 2.4-liter turbocharged flat 4 that we've already seen in the 2019 Ascent. It's actually part of the same engine family that powers the Subaru BRZ and the Toyota GT86, and that is not a bad thing, especially when here it has 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. And despite being mated solely to a continuously variable transmission, which usually would be enough to have me walking away immediately, Subaru tuned it well enough that you can barely tell it's a CVT. There are your moments of rubber banding and droning like you would get with all CVTs, but for the most part, I don't really notice it's there, which is about the highest praise I can muster for an automatic transmission. Subaru has also gone with their new global platform to underpin the 2020 Outback, and it is fantastic. The claim is a 70% increase in structural rigidity, and I believe it. This thing is firm and responsive, and with the turbocharged engine, I might even call it athletic. Now, if you go with the less powerful, naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine with its 182 horsepower, 176 pound-feet of torque, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, not unless you're doing a lot of towing and a lot of driving up hills, but with turbo power, this thing is great. Now, I mentioned that the outside is barely changed. This is an if it ain't broke, don't fix it situation. And with the numbers that Subaru is putting down with the Outback, I can see why it ain't broke is the going sentiment. However, there is still an issue that I wish they addressed. One of the reasons that I love Subarus is they seem to be one of the only cars where they take visibility into consideration in the design process. You can actually see out of them. Imagine that. But there's still a pretty big blind spot here in the rear 3/4. Anything Prius-sized or smaller can completely disappear back here, and it would only take an extra inch or so of window room to rectify that. I wish they had. Or at the very least, don't make me pay extra for blind spot monitoring.
As for the back seat, there's quite a bit of room. It's still a bit tight back here for my legs if I keep the front seat in my preferred position, but I can fit back here. Still, another inch or so of legroom would make a world of difference, and I only bring that up because the trunk is pretty damn big. 32.5 cubic feet big. Seems like you could do a bit of robbing Peter to pay Paul and no one would really notice the difference. After all, anything really big is going to have you dropping those back seats anyway, so you can access the full 75.7 cubes, which you can do via these handy little levers. And be careful. Subaru changed how they measure cargo volume this year, so the numbers aren't in line with 2019's. Rest assured, it is bigger inside.
And now we come to my favorite part about the Outback, the pricing. You can get into one for just under 27 grand, or if you want to go ham on a top tier edition like you see here, it's going to cost you just over 40, but that's really not necessary. Every Outback trim comes really well equipped with that standard safety suite, and while the 2020 hasn't been tested yet, the 2019 enjoys a near perfect safety record, and I don't see that changing. Still, I have to recommend the XT trims with the more powerful turbocharged engine, and for that reason, the CarGurus recommended trim is the Onyx Edition XT. I don't think you're going to be missing out on anything there, and that's where the options really open up. Plus, the Onyx Edition XT has the most aggressive X-Mode system of all the Outbacks, which means it's the most off-road capable. Just don't pay for that driver focus system. Trust me. Hey, thanks for watching. For full details on the 2020 Subaru Outback, just click the link in the description. You can head over to CarGurus.com and read my full review. And for more videos, just subscribe to the channel.